Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/getstarted. That's GREENLIGHT.com/getstarted.
Where are you getting that Tom Cruise is going to be in the movie?
It was trending on Twitter.
Really?
Okay, Flat Earth trends on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Guys.
Hey, Cecil, how's it going?
Have you gone in the studio yet?
No. We're talking about Doctor Strange. Do you think Tom Cruise is going to be in it?
Probably not. But that's not the point. This week is about people who've gone over Niagara Falls, and we need to get in there. Eli's probably sticking himself in a barrel right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, guys. See? Barrel. Told you. Mm-hmm. I called it.
Eli, before you do anything stupid, I know you like to do thematic shenanigans before every show, but do not go over Niagara Falls in that thing, okay?
You guys are crazy. I would never do that.
You wouldn't?
No, of course not. Get hurt or something.
Well, wait. We're all out here, and if you're not going to go over, who's in the barrel?
Oh, the guys from the Citations Needed podcast. Teach them to steal our show name.
Okay, you know their show came first, right?
Don't interrupt, Tom. You need help loading the barrel into the car?
I do, yes. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Noah, and I'm going to be launching this episode, but I'll be damned if I'm going to take this plunge alone. First up, two men the barrel would be nervous about going over with, Tom and Eli.
Oh, like you never got caught whispering, "I want to be inside you" to inanimate objects, Noah.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't been caught.
And the barrels are jealous of my roundness. Mine.
And also joining us tonight are two men who wouldn't do it for the glory, but might do it for the poutine, Cecil and Heath.
I'm still trying to invent a safety device where you pull a string and poutine inflates around your neck.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for.
It's a gravy float.
And of course, before we start talking about the kind of potentially deadly shit attention-seeking people can resort to for the sake of the spotlight's ephemeral warmth, I'd like to remind you that our safer alternative relies on your Patreon donations. That's right, folks. If you don't donate to us on Patreon, we could die. I'm going to go full Oral Roberts here. And if you'd like to learn more about how to ensure our survival, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Tom, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today we will be discussing a list of people who have gone over Niagara Falls.
All right. And Cecil, our official story is that you were only researching the subject for the sake of this episode. So with that in mind, are you ready to tell us about falling?
I am confident you will give me a score of 9.81 meters squared out of 10.
Nice.
Okay. So where does our story begin?
Today, we're going to be talking about people that have gone over Niagara Falls. Some in a barrel, others not so lucky. Some of this story is going to be a little gruesome, as going on over a large waterfall can be. I also want to start by giving a little backstory about the falls themselves and the legends that surround them. I will give you now a few moments here to express your displeasure at proper context and let the booze die down.
Boo, 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 nerd, boo, boo. I hate you. Fuck you. Boo, boo.
Podcast listeners, Cecil probably cut it for time, but Heath just booed for 30 straight voice straining minutes. So if he's a little quiet in the latter half, he's just saving the old vocal cords.
You're not going to make him happy until you figure out a way to podcast with just pictures. Don't even try, bro. Don't even try.
Okay, fun fact, the Etruscans actually invented the cylinder, so we really owe the very idea of barrels to the ancient Etruscans.
Arch, they invented.
It's very unclear who you were imitating, man.
Never mind.
Now you did it. Now he's going to talk about arches.
Because the Etruscans is a Noah thing, and then the goofy voice is a Heath thing with the fun fact. You got to quack if you want to do Noah.
Quack.
I don't like to give notes on air. It's very confusing for the podcast listener.
Niagara Falls isn't one waterfall. It's a series of 3 waterfalls that border New York and Ontario, and they span the Niagara Gorge. The biggest of these 3 falls is the one on the Canada side, called the Canadian Falls or the Horseshoe Falls. This is the one that is actually right on the border between the 2 countries. The 2 smaller falls, the American and the Bridal Veil Falls, are both on the American side of the border. There's also 2 islands in this gorge, Goat Island and Luna Island. These falls have the largest flow of water of any waterfalls in North America and the 7th largest in the world at 5.9 million cubic feet of water. That goes over the falls every minute.
Wow.
They have a drop of 160 feet or 50 meters, depending on which side of the falls you're on.
I feel like I've had summer days where my ass crack beat that. I know that's a weird.
I've been on the subway with you, Eli, in the summer. I agree. I believe you.
Cecil, what's the drop angle on that? Like 180? It's just like straight down mostly?
No, this is fine. Yeah, keep going. That's good.
He's talking about my ass crack.
Not at 180, he's not.
There are several factors that make going over the falls more dangerous than just, oh, that's a lot of water and that's a big drop. At Horseshoe Falls, the pool at the bottom of the falls is 180 feet deep. So after you go over the side of the falls with 5.9 million cubic feet of water, you're then shoved down by that water. That water can also dash you against the rocks, pretty much destroying whatever container you freshness sealed yourself in for the stunt. Your container can also just stall under the water, cycling you up and down in the current like some sunken aquarium ship powered by the aerator. So many of the stories of the people who didn't survive and some of the people who did will rely on a lot of the things we've laid out so far. So why go over the falls at all? Some of the stories I'm going to tell are just tales of misadventure. Slipping, falling, sometimes drunken slipping and falling can be pretty hazardous, especially around something as dangerous as the falls. Other stories are the stories of trying to get famous or trying to do some kind of stunt for attention or the record books.
Famous, quick, listeners at home, before we get on with the essay, name anyone who ever did this dumb shit. But that's the level of fame they're willing to risk life and limb for?
Yes. Even if you can name it, still dumb. Right?
Well, yeah. That's your go-to example of dumb. That's why you can name it.
There's still other stories, made up legends in particular, that are just shitty common tropes to somehow paint the local Native Americans as horrible savages and sell boat rides.
Cool. Yeah. All right, everybody. Welcome to Everfall Cruises. Here's a copy of The White Man's Burden by Rudyard Kipling and your rain sticker. Enjoy. Bring out the best ye breed.
The legend of the Maid of the Mist is one such racist, shitty legend. The European version of this story is that the local natives were trying to appease the thunder god, so they took one of the young women of their tribe, stuffed her in a canoe, and sent her over the falls as human sacrifice to somehow influence the god not to hurt them or to help them in some way. The native people have a different version of the story where a young widow in a fit of depression throws herself over the falls and she's caught by the god of thunder. The god lives in the waterfall and he takes her behind the water to heal. She recovers, learns about the gods, falls in love with the god's eldest son, gets married, and eventually returns to her tribe to bring them the knowledge of the gods.
Okay, to be fair, we didn't sacrifice her. She killed herself is what white people say about Natalie Wood.
Oh, Jesus.
So now I don't know who to believe, Cecil. I don't know who to believe.
I know who to believe.
Skeptic.
The falls also attracts another kind of thrill seeker, the tightrope walker. The first person to cross the Niagara Gorge was Jean-Francois Blondin Gravelet in 1859. He crossed the tightrope 8 times that year. Once, he carried his top-hatted manager on his back. The first and only woman to cross the falls was 23-year-old Maria Spelterini in 1876. She did it several times. Once she was blindfolded, and another time she had her hands and her ankles handcuffed.
Okay, that one took forever, though. Just shuffling a few inches at a time.
Right?
Okay, you know what? This is actually pretty boring. I get it. This is
You like walk away for a snow cone and come back. She's still going. The last person to cross was Nick Walenda in June of 2012. He was the first person to cross in 116 years. He crossed 1,800 feet of tightrope in the longest unsupported tightrope walk in history. When he arrived on the Canadian side of the gorge, he presented his passport to the border officials there.
All right. Well, quick, while we're still doing stories with aw shucks endings, I guess we should pause for a break. But
You're damn skippy, you are.
We'll be back with another kind of story altogether after a bit of apropos of nothing.
It's going to get sad.
This is how the truckers are going to have to do it soon.
I would
There you
love
go.
that.
Fucking tightrope walk, assholes. Where am I? What is
Well,
this?
hello there, Mickey O'Flanagan. Welcome to heaven.
Oh, I'm dead?
You sure are, but don't you fret. You're in the heaven of the falls.
Oh, what's the heaven of the falls?
It's for all us brave souls who didn't make it over the falls.
Huh.
We get our very own heaven full of adventure and daring for all of eternity. Over there's a tightrope of infinity. Over there's the launching pad.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing a cool barrel thing. I just slipped and fell over a railing. I actually don't like any of that stuff you just named. I'm pretty scared of heights, actually.
Oh.
Okay, is there like a bar here?
There's a limbo bar.
Can I drink that?
Nope.
Yeah. I figured no.
And we're back. Well, we made it halfway into a citation needed episode and nobody's died yet, so
TikTok.
obviously in need of a total shift. Yeah, right, exactly.
No,
Get this shit going.
It's technically not half. We're only about a quarter of the way.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Just
That's
called
right.
for a break before anybody died. That's all.
There you
All
go.
right, let's get on to the death. Since 1850,
I'm building the moment, guys. I'm building the moment. Okay, now a guy dies.
Since 1850, there have been 5,000 bodies found at the bottom of the falls.
Okay, now you're just trying to struggling to keep up, or you're catching up for lost
Throw it
time
in
or
there,
something. Jesus.
That was a
In
weird
fact-
day when they picked up all 5,000 of them.
They just take one big strainer out and they're like, it's like pasta. You know?
Well,
It's
that's
like when
why-
you do the bathtub.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. One of them they keep being linked together. You keep pulling up more and more.
One plumber with one big long snake, all the bodies attached to it.
There's your problem right there. That's why your falls are backing up.
Okay, so 5,000 bodies have been found at the bottom of the falls. In fact, only 16 people have survived going over the falls.
I like my odds.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are terrible
I guess
odds.
the Wikipedia article only goes back to 1850. So the first story is, and this will not come as a shock to any veteran citation needed listeners, a tragedy. Two unnamed men and a fellow by the name of Joseph Avery were working on a flat bottom boat on the river. They were also drinking. The three fell off the boat, and two of the unnamed men both had predictable and not notable deaths. They just went over the falls and died. Avery was able to grab onto the roots of a tree on an island. He hung on for 18 hours.
Oh, Jesus.
Then they finally got a boat to him using like a long length of rope, and they floated it out to him. Avery, exhausted after his 18-hour ordeal, was able to miraculously climb aboard the boat, and then it immediately capsized and he went over the falls and died.
The aristocrats.
Exactly.
Alanis Morissette singing at his funeral. It wasn't ironic, but neither is the song. So there you go.
Yeah.
He shows up in heaven next to his buddies. Dude, what took you so long?
Well, I spent 18 hours almost surviving. Some asshole just watched me and took notes for Wikipedia. Ridiculous.
The next person listed was the first person to purposefully go over the falls, expected to survive, and did so in a barrel. Annie Edison Taylor decided to go over the falls in an oak barrel as a publicity stunt. Her hope was that she would become famous and she would be able to cash in on this fame, traveling and doing speaking engagements. She needed the money and, quote, had fallen upon hard times, having been burned out of her home and having lost money invested with a clergyman, end quote.
It feels like the fucking preacher should be the one in the barrel, I think. Maybe that's just me, but...
That's bad luck. That investment just disappeared into the ether. Too bad her investments were tethered to something so cryptic.
Tom doesn't like cryptocurrency at all.
No.
I got 3 in there. 3.
Not one iota does he enjoy cryptocurrency.
It's not for Tom. NFT. Stupid. Cut that.
The barrel was constructed of oak and iron, and it was taller than Taylor. The plan was that she would stuff a mattress in the barrel, put a pillow on her hands over her head, and try to steady herself inside using her arms and her head pressed up against one of the lids.
the famous arm strength of 64-year-old ladies.
And the other side, though, is her feet were pressed against the other lid. 2 days before the stunt, she sealed her cat inside the barrel and sent it over the falls. The cat survived with a bleeding head, and there's a photo in the wiki article of her posing with the barrel and the cat.
All right, the fucking clergyman got a reprieve. I'm back on board with her being in the barrel.
Yeah.
Fuck that lady.
Yeah, nobody even had to go pss, 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 to get her inside.
Right, yeah.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I would have anyway, but it would have been, just...
There's like a feather on a string. They're trying to get her to go in there.
It's a laser pointer.
She climbed into the barrel on her 63rd birthday, although the article made it seem like she was fond of saying she was 42 at the time. She had her lucky pillow with her.
There's a story that I want to know.
I don't think you want to know.
I have an unlucky pillow.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, her lucky pillow.
So they sealed the top by screwing it on, and the barrel itself had a valve, and they pumped it up with a bicycle pump.
Wait a minute. Wait, they over pressurized it like an Instant Pot?
Yeah, yes, they definitely put some air in there.
There was
not sure
already
what
air
it
in
did.
there.
Like extra. I'm not sure what it did. Extra air. They pressurized it. They shoved her away, and she dropped over the Canadian Falls. The barrel was recovered about 25 minutes after the fall, and she had a nice gash on her head and a mild concussion, but was otherwise unharmed. She did have this to say about the experience, though. Quote, "If it was with my last dying breath, I would caution anyone against attempting the feat. I would sooner walk up to the mouth of a cannon, knowing it was going to blow me to pieces, than make another trip over the fall," end quote.
She thought it was going to be a pleasant experience.
She had a pillow.
Spa-like experience.
She had a pillow and a mattress.
Also, I love that she tried to like brace herself in the. She was like, "No, I got a pillow and I put my arms up against it, and I'm good." Everybody thinks the power of their human arms is like infinite.
Her plan to make money really didn't pan out. She did earn a little and wrote a memoir that she sold at Niagara Falls, but her manager left and took her barrel. The little money she was able to earn off of the fame was spent hiring private detectives to find her missing manager and the barrel. Quote, "It was eventually located in Chicago, only to permanently disappear sometime later," end quote. And that has a citation needed tag on it, but so does this doozy that I just want to read it in its entirety. Quote, "She spent her final years posing for photographs with tourists at her souvenir stand, attempting to earn money from the New York Stock Exchange, briefly talking about taking a second plunge over the cataracts in 1906.
She was a day trader? On top of all that, okay. Go ahead.
Attempting to write a novel, reconstructing her 1901 plunge on film, which was never seen, working as a clairvoyant, and providing magnetic therapeutic treatments to local residents." End quote.
Arms and magnets, they're both magical to everybody. I don't know why.
Fucking arms. How do they work?
The next listing is a death in 1903. A Washington Senators baseball player got kicked off a train at the falls for being drunk and disorderly and starting a few fights. After slamming 5 whiskeys, the conductor claimed he pulled out a straight razor and threatened people with it. He fell off a railway bridge or jumped into the water. It took 2 weeks to find the body. Well, most of it. One leg was gone.
I feel like it's a trip and fall because there's like no official checkbox for started a fight with the water, though, in this instance.
The second planned trip over the falls with a vessel was Bobby Leach of the Barnum and Bailey Circus. He had a barrel that looked like an absolute death trap. Like had sharp edges. It looked terrifying. It looked genuinely terrifying. It's all metal.
It had sharp, like on the inside?
Like it looks, it's all riveted. So you know the inside's like sharp edge. You're like, that's got to have sharp edges. It looked terrifying. It looks like a fucking iron lung. He looks like he went over the falls in an iron lung.
Before he even gets in the water, he's like, ow, splinter, ow, ow. It's so bad.
He was fond of saying about the first lady to go over the falls, quote, anything Annie could do, I can do better. End quote. He did do one.
Annie, get your gun. Classic.
Yeah. He did do one thing better. He racked up more injuries than Annie did. When they pulled him out of the barrel, he had 2 broken kneecaps and a fractured jaw. Took him 6 months to recover. Later in life, when he was on a publicity tour in New Zealand, he slipped on an orange peel, gashed his leg, got gangrene, had to get his leg amputated, and then died 2 months later.
Jesus Christ.
Orange, you glad? Stop screaming. I'm doing a joke. Orange, you glad it wasn't a banana? He's screaming. He screamed the whole time. He didn't even hear it.
So good. Orange.
See, so I don't like rooting for people to die, but so far you're making this sound almost as dangerous as citrus fruit, right? So
I love that people were pulling this jackass level shit at a time in medical history when a stray bit of zest could kill you.
Yeah.
Charles Stevens, who has an ominous daredevil in parentheses after his name on Wikipedia, is the next to die in the falls. He tried to go over the falls in July of 1920. He was urged by Bobby Leach, the guy who just lost a 12-round fight with the falls, to actually test the barrel he was going to use. Stevens refused. Climbed in the barrel with an anvil.
What? No.
Strapped the anvil to his feet and went over the side.
Anvil?
An anvil.
The metal thing?
Yeah, metal anvil. Okay. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. A big, heavy metal thing
like
that blacksmiths
Acme?
use to hit.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So at the bottom, they suspect that the anvil broke right through the barrel and he was dragged to the bottom.
Obviously, he didn't use his arms to hold it in place.
Hold on, though. He might have, Keith. He may have. I say suspect because they only found his right arm, which is buried in Drummond Hill Cemetery in Niagara Falls.
Okay. I mean, it's sad. I'm pretty sure that's a suicide.
I feel like that's a
daredevil
suicide.
stunt.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, trust me, this anvil is going to make my water activity that I'm going to do right now more survivable.
Right.
Nobody says that.
Okay, I don't think the Acme Corporation has the best track record for these stunts, guys. All right, why is there a roadrunner winking at me? This is not.
What does he know?
It's a big X in the water as he goes down.
Right.
Okay, how could that have gone well? Would it just shake the anvil around and like juice him inside of there?
I know. It's so crazy. When I read it, I was like, he's a fucking anvil on his feet.
Yep. And he strapped it to his feet. What did he think?
Did he ask the local mafia to tuck him in that night? Like, what was happening?
I don't want it to rattle around while I'm on, while I'm in the river.
It's gonna be so annoying.
The barrel's rotating. Now the anvil's falling on me. Now I feel stupid. Okay.
He's doing leg presses with the anvil on the way down.
Like fucking Pat Robertson. I don't care. It's 1,000 pounds.
Swole. He didn't skip leg day, that's for sure.
Probably had to skip arm day soon. But.
He did skip. You got to take a rest day after you lose,
if you lose
your
arm. You do have as many arm days.
In 1928, Joseph Lussier built a giant rubber ball to go over the falls. He put in steel bands, valves, and air to keep him alive, and some rubber stabilizers to make sure it wouldn't just spin like an out-of-control carnival ride. It cost him $7,000 in 1928, which is about $115,000 in today's money. He climbed into the ball and went over. Before he actually plunged over the falls, one of the stabilizers was ripped off the bottom by a rock in the river, but he made it to the bottom and he was mostly unharmed. He then set up shop and sold pieces of the ball for the next few decades. And when he ran out of real, genuine rubber Niagara Falls ball, he sold people cut up titles.
What the fuck was it with the tchotchke stand business at this point in history that people needed death-defying stunts to break into it?
You could just sell rubber.
You just
get
all you have to do is get rubber. End of list.
You know, it's easier just to learn how to knit. You know what I mean? You could just do that.
There's guys in New York City who just like stand still for a living. I mean, come on.
You know that people walked past his stand to get a bottled water and he was like, shit, bottled water. Right. You buy it cheap and then you sell it
There was
more.
like 5.9 million liters of it.
Every minute.
George Statakis was the next to die in the falls. He was a chef from Buffalo, New York, and climbed into a barrel with his 150-year-old pet turtle and sealed himself inside. He said it was 150 years old. I have no idea.
Bet he wished he had wings by the end of this. Buffalo wings.
Barrel.
He's a chef from Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
His
I thought you
barrel-
meant the turtle. I was like, Mario.
His barrel ran into some complications and he got stuck behind a giant torrent of the falls for 18 hours. He survived the fall, but he died of asphyxiation. He was survived, however, by his turtle.
Nice.
Okay. I feel like I shouldn't have to clarify this, but your pet, it doesn't want to do any of your activities that aren't a brisk walk in good
There you
weather.
go.
Just leave him the fuck home. Just leave him home.
Pugs want to die slowly of asphyxiation naturally. Because their face doesn't work and they're
Do I bring my
unethical.
pug to live shows? No.
That 150-year-old turtle just yawns. Not today, Falls. Not today.
They open it up. He's eating the guy's arm, you know, or something. It's just like, anyway, what are you going to do?
I brought my pet human in here. He didn't make it. You guys want to buy a piece of him?
William Hill Jr., who went by the nickname of Red, was the next to try. His father had been a daredevil that had used a barrel to navigate the rapids on the Niagara River. At one point, Hill Sr.'s barrel got stuck in the rapids and just spinning violently in a whirlpool for 3 straight hours.
I got to tie down this anvil. This is ridiculous.
You open it up, it's just covered in vomit in there.
It's like the worst tilt-a-whirl I've ever been.
They just stuck for 3 straight hours, stuck to the side like the Gravitron.
Stop putting a fucking quarter in it, you assholes!
It's just fucked. Oh, it's terrible.
You know the worst part, though, is that there was a guy with his arms in the air behind him the entire time. Just like, stop, man. Relax. Stop.
Stop saying woo, man. It's like the second hour. Come on. You can't have that much air in your lungs.
Not buying the picture of myself at the end of this.
Hill Jr., while trying to make money for a memorial for his father, got into his barrel and went over the falls. His barrel exploded on impact and he was killed. It was his death in 1951 that convinced the American and Canadian governments to ban all barrel activity at the falls, making it a finable offense if you survived.
You make it to the bottom, you're just like, $200? That's like 10 years of selling pieces of this barrel. Now it's not even worth it. No, it's not even worth it.
God, it says so much about humanity, though, doesn't it? That you even have to create artificial disincentives to shit that naturally ends with, if you survive.
I don't know, man. It just seems like more cancel culture. Fucking let me go over a barrel if I want to go over a barrel.
In 1960, an adult and 2 children were in a fishing boat almost 2 kilometers upstream from the falls. They lost the motor, hit the rapids, and capsized. The young girl that was with the group, Deanne Woodward, was pulled from the falls 20 feet from the edge.
God damn.
Her brother, Roger, and the adult, James Honeycutt, went over the falls. Roger was the first person to survive going over the falls unassisted. He survived because he was wearing a life vest. James was not and did not.
I mean, I'd call Roger lucky, but he couldn't have lasted more than a week selling pieces of that life vest, right? Maybe an NFT of it? I'm just trying to think.
Niagara Falls token. It's not for Tom.
In July of 1961, the first African-American went over the falls. Nathan Boya had a 6-foot-tall rubber ball called the plungosphere. He bounced around on the rocks, but came out uninjured. He was fined for going over, and he was mostly quiet about the whole thing until many years later he confessed his reason for doing it on a documentary. Quote, he had broken off his engagement to a woman that he felt he had wronged, and he performed the dangerous stunt as a form of penance. Niagara Falls had been their planned honeymoon destination. End quote.
Yeah, I feel like that might not have played out the way he hoped.
I'm sorry, Betty, but I can't marry you.
Oh, Nathan, you've broken my heart.
Isn't there anything I can do to make it up to you?
Well, perhaps if we communicate more and talk about our feelings, we can learn to love one another again.
Go over Niagara Falls in a rubber ball. Got it, I hear you.
What?
Loud and clear. That is what you said.
Karol Susek, a Czech professional stuntman that was living in Canada, went over the falls and survived. The most notable thing about his journey was what he painted on the side of his barrel. Quote, it's not whether you fail or triumph, it's that you keep your word and at least try. End quote. Try to keep your word. I don't know. Anyway, he went on to die doing what he loved.
Yeah, no, it matters if you fail or triumph. Yeah,
yeah, it so much matters. It's the one thing that does matter. You get a burgundy ribbon for going over the falls. You're dead. You participated and you died.
Anyway, he went on to die doing what he loved, being dropped in a barrel. Wasn't on the falls, though. He was dropped 180 feet from the ground in the Astrodome into a pool of water.
Oh, no.
He hit the side of the tank instead of the middle.
Oh,
he was cut from the barrel, and he died while the stunt show he was part of continued. The show must go on.
Yeah, which is really tragic because he was fond of saying he was going to land among the stars, and he did not. He did.
I just picture it's the rest of they set the body on fire. Some guy has to backflip over it, you know? The fuck?
For the next several years, a few people went over in barrels, and some of them more than once. The most interesting thing about their stories is that sometimes they were caught by the authorities. I'm positive the cops were pissed they got their boots wet. Robert Overracker forwent the barrel for a jet ski. He was trying to raise awareness for the homeless with his stunt, and his rocket-propelled parachute did not open, and he did not survive.
Much like so many of our homeless don't survive during the cold. Consider a local coat drive near you. What the fuck?
You know, like everyone's aware that there are fucking homeless people.
Right, yes.
If you want to help, donate however much a rocket-propelled parachute jet ski would cost to the fucking shelter. Like nobody's ever been sleeping outside in the rain and been like, oh, you know, it would have been great if some guy rocket ski parachuted over Niagara Falls. That would have warmed me right up.
You know what's great? Raised awareness. I really enjoy the worth of raised awareness.
To know that we're here.
Now that I think about it.
I'll just eat some of that.
Jesse Sharp took a canoe over the falls in 1990.
What?
Okay, this one is my
over
favorite.
if you look at it
If you can
sideways.
have a favorite someone falling to their death, this is my favorite someone falling to their death.
Oh, I've got like four that I like more than this one.
Jesse Sharp took a canoe over the falls in 1990. He wasn't wearing a life vest, and he didn't have a helmet on because he wanted to make sure that his face wasn't obstructed if people took his picture. He had planned to pilot the canoe over the falls and then, without a break, paddle downstream 4 miles to a restaurant where he had dinner reservations.
No. Okay.
His body was never recovered, but they did find the canoe a few days later.
Yeah, that's, sad, but silver lining, they did have a free 2-top table for a walk-in that night, right? I mean, like some party
Sure
too
did.
was like, nice.
Well, you're assuming his plus one didn't just eat there, right? Like she's probably at a certain point like, well, I'm just getting some fucking chicken. But I just
Maybe the plus one met somebody.
It is a canoe. Like how did this look in his head? Did he picture him going over a la Indian short route?
I'm just picturing him like paddling frantically in the air, and he's like, "Don't look down, don't look down." That's what the coyote does. If you just keep paddling,
That's the mistake they all make. I will
They
make
always
that.
stand up.
Kirk Jones was the first adult to go over the falls without anything, barrel, life vest, etc. And he survived. In 2003, he was drinking with friends, and they planned to record him going over with a video camera, except they were so shit-faced they couldn't get it to work. Kirk swam for about 100 meters upstream, and then he went over the falls. When he got down to the bottom, he swam past the Maid of the Mist boat in the water and walked up on the shore.
What?
He was banned for life from Canada, and then he said he was suicidal to get a smaller fine from the U.S. government.
Okay, that's weird. Because it seems like you would just let the U.S. ban you from Canada more again. There's
Right,
no need to
yeah.
argue that down.
In 2017, Kirk Jones returned to the falls to try to go over again. This time, he decided to do it on a device. He went over, quote, while riding inside an 8-foot plastic ball carrying his pet boa constrictor named Misty, end quote. Jones died in his second try over the falls. They found his on his wrist a controller for a drone, suggesting that he wanted to try to film it, but the drone never actually took off. The plastic ball was recovered at the bottom of the falls, and they never found the snake.
Stop involving your pets in your suicide attempt.
The most recent incident happened on July 8th, 2019. The police were called to the falls on the Canadian side to deal with someone who was going to jump in. The person climbed up to one of the retaining walls, and as the police approached, he jumped into the water. He was swept over the waterfall, and they called in a rescue crew looking for a body. What they found was the man alive, sitting on a rock by the lower observation platform.
Yeah, but he was holding a very confused snake, turtle, and a cat. So it's just
and one arm. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's the other one.
Anvil
We have a matching
Did
set.
anyone lose an anvil down there?
All right, so if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
It's not whether you fail or triumph. It's that you keep your word or at least
I
try.
don't think it. I feel like it's if you triumph. All right, so are you ready for a little drop quiz?
I am ready to take the plunge.
All right, Cecil, what could have saved all these people from dying?
Ooh, I know.
A, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell could have airdropped 10,000 pillows from helicopters to cushion their falls, but he was tragically blocked by the tyrannical Canadian government.
It'd be amazing if somebody grabs and he's got those little parachutes on the pillows and they just float down slowly. Yeah, it's got to be A. I'm going with A.
It was A. There was other choices, but you already nailed it. Yeah. They were super funny, the other ones, but we'll skip them.
You can just skip them.
All right.
This one's
puns.
super funny.
Cecil, what else would have helped some of these people survive? A, if they had tested their theory before going over, thus insisting on the stunt being barrel-proof. B, if they had worked out more to build up their power, relying on the stunt's barrel strength. C,
And their arm strength.
if they had been younger going over, avoiding the problem of the stunt being barrel-aged.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Or D, whiskey.
I'm gonna go with D, whiskey.
You got it. That would have helped.
Connected.
It would have helped.
All right, Cecil.
Tableau.
All right, Cecil. What's the best name for a daredevil pet? A, Weasel Knievel.
That's actually good.
So good.
Yeah, they get
I would have gone with
words.
Bo Weevil Knievel. You could have gone with
So
Bo
good.
Weevil Knievel, but yeah, that's
It rhymed already.
good.
B, Fonzie Bear.
Okay.
Jump the shark. C, Felix the Cat Baumgartner. The guy
Come
who
on.
jumped.
Oh, no.
from
Come on. You
shade.
could have done Phoenix Baumgartner.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been better.
Bo Weevil Knievel would have been better too.
Oh, Weevil Knievel would have been better too. Yeah.
Do you guys have any notes on the other stuff Eli said so far?
Yeah. Took me a second on Fonzie Bear.
Ree Houdini. Barry Houdini.
I'm going to go with the best one, A, Weasel Knievel.
Weasel Knievel it is. You are incorrect.
Incorrect.
You
That's
lose.
it. Yeah. So, well, I guess Eli. The thing is, Eli, it's not whether you fail or triumph. It's that you keep your word, and at least you tried, so you win this week.
I did. And I choose an essay from Tom next week.
All right, awesome. Well, for Cecil, Tom, Eli, and Heath, I'm Noah. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Tom will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear more from Heath, Eli, and me on God Awful Movies, The Scathing Atheist, D&D Minus, and The Skeptocrat. You can also hear more from Tom and Cecil on the one other podcast that they do, cognitive dissonance. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out the past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com. Nathan, you missed brunch with my mother again.
Would it help if I went to the top of Mount Everest on a rocket balloon?
No.
Let's see.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.